I just got back from a trip from Austin. I went there just to work from an Airbnb for a week to see if I like it there, and I brought my bike. I wanted to make this video because every time I travel with my bike, which has been 10, 20, 30 times with the bike, everybody has a lot of questions on how I do it, what it's like to travel with it, if it's easy, and that's from people who ride bikes and people who don't ride bikes. So I wanted to make this video because to show people how you travel with a bike, that it's really easy, some tips that I have on how to do it, how to have it for free, what to bring, and what to look out for. So for this trip, I was just working from an Airbnb, as I said, and I wasn't going to be doing any real rides. I didn't really have any friends out there that were going to be taking me on long rides. I'm sure I could have found that, but I really just wanted to explore the city. And so what I brought with me was my Cinelli with easy gearing, cages, and flat bars. It's my commuter. It has wide tires on it. It has 38s on it. So it's just like a toot-around bike. I can go to bars, I can go to cafes, just kind of like cruise the city, see what's up, and then kind of, go back home. Use it really just as a mode of transportation more than exercise or getting any real miles in. Now, let's say if I was going to go on a trip to, let's say, visit my friends in Atlanta or Los Angeles, I might bring one of my other bikes, or maybe even the Cinellis still, but have road pedals and drops on it and more of like a gearing that would be more, not just so easy, I would be really spinning. And yes, I could have rented a bike, I could have taken the ride shares, like the city bikes of Austin or wherever you are, but it's a different thing when you bring your own bike. If you watch this channel, if you're really a cyclist, you know that the difference is when you ride your own bike versus someone else's or any other bike. Even if it's a really nice bike, it's just not the same. This bike's made for me. It's fitted to me. All the components, I know how it feels. I'm confident on it. And when you ride any other bike, it's just not the same. And so I'm not going to say that it's really easy to travel with a bike because you have to lug it around and break it down and worry about it getting dinged. But then once you go all through that hassle of it, as soon as you mount the bike for the first time, it's honestly worth it. Like the feeling is as soon as you get on the bike, when you land and you build it and you go on the first ride, you're like, every time I'm like, okay, this was worth it. This was definitely worth my time to go through the effort of bringing my own bike rather than renting one or using a ride share. So now more than ever, it's easy to travel with a bike, or it's easier rather. This was several years ago. I was traveling a lot for work and I was living in Atlanta, and I would travel with my bikes. And I would ride Delta because Delta is the main hub for Delta is in Atlanta. So I would always ride Delta. And the thing was, with Delta, it would cost $150 if you would choose to bring a bike. So that could be golf clubs, a surfboard, anything that's the same size and the same weight, and it would be free. But as soon as you say, it's a bike, it was $150. So I would get creative and I would go to the oversized counter and check it, and every time they'd be like, it's a bike, right? No, it's not a bike. Are you sure it's not a bike? It's not a bike. It's a trade show booth. Like, well, what's that? I travel for work. Or I would say, it's a massage table. I tried that once. And they were like, oh, a massage table, okay. And the person started asking me questions, and they were like, so what's it like to be a masseuse? And I was like, oh, shit. And so I was like, oh, actually, it's my girlfriend's, and I'm bringing it for her to get out of the story. But now you don't have to do that anymore. So on Delta, as well as some other airlines, I think like WestJet or JetBlue, it's free. So if you go on Delta's website, if it's a bike, it was in the parameters of the size of it, as well as the weight limitations, then it's free. So you can even say it's a bike, but they didn't even ask me this time. So it's even easier to travel with a bike now. So I have a bag for the bike that I travel with. It's an Aru case. I'll link it here. They're not sponsoring me or anything. It's just the best bag that I have. I have another one from Pika Pack for my other bikes when I don't want to take off the fork. But the Aru case, it's like a backpack, so it's like pretty nice. I bring a Cinelli in it and I break it down and take the fork off. It's really easy to travel with it. Look, it's not like gonna be fun to carry it because you have a duffel bag or a roller to go with that, but it does make it a lot smaller and it fits in the back of any car and any trunk that I've been in. even like a Prius or something small, it definitely fits in the back of it. So as I said, I chose flat pedals for this. As you can see, these are GR9s, MKS GR9 pedals with Toshi straps, as well as the Mash double cages or whatever they're called. I also went with risers. These are Nitto 4 shreds. I made another video on those, a funny video on how I cut them down. But this is just like commuting setup. It's easy to ride with, and this is the gearing that I chose. It's just, this is the way to just toot around on a bike. All right, so here's the essentials of what I use and what I bring with me on pretty much every single bike trip. There's no surprises here. It's gonna be the usual suspects. All right, so first things first, obviously you need a helmet. If you don't ride with the helmet, well, you're an idiot. A little lock, this little Kryptonite Mini is what I use. I use it in New York too, but to really lock up the front. I mean, it's good to have a small lock on you. You can't bring a giant one. Lights, obviously, a front and a rear. Last time I forgot it, but you need to have an extra tube. And whatever tool you're gonna need to take apart the whole bike. I don't know if you need a pedal wrench or not. I don't, I only need a multi-tool. And a tire iron as well. And lastly, I wanted to show the pumps here. So I have 2 pumps. One is a mini and one is just a floor pump. This isn't a travel size pump. It's a travel floor pump, so it's smaller. It's nice to have, but honestly, you don't actually need it. I've traveled with the bigger one before, and it's just as good. It's just this one's a little bit nicer. They make one this is aluminum. They make a steel one. I think it's $50. So you could get that if you're gonna be traveling a lot. But honestly, you can just use a regular floor pump as well. I wanted to include this clip here with the ride share, the scooters or the city bikes or whatever it is. And look, these are really convenient. You can say what you want about them. They're everywhere. If you go to any city other than New York, they're all on the sidewalks. They're pretty terrible, but they are fun and they are very convenient. Look, you wouldn't be watching this video on how to travel with a bike if you just wanted to solely use those. I will say that I use those too. It's just really nice to have your own bike rather than just rely on these scooters. All right, so I hope that video shows you that it's relatively easy to travel with a bike, but really I wanted to get in people's minds that it's something that you can do. It's really fun. It'll change your perspective if you can think the next place you go, you can actually bring a bike. I'm going to make a few other videos on actually traveling with the bike and actually packing the bike, maybe a couple other things. So if that sounds interesting, let me know in the comments if you want to see that.